Well, if you're here, congratulations, you're here for first, maybe possibly the last podcast with myself, Sean Kelly, Joe Walter, former Cincinnati Bengal legend years ago. And I say years ago, it was like what, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Right? We had done a podcast for about 15 years together.
Yep.
We did some pregame for the Cincinnati Bengals, and Joe and I got together and we thought to ourselves, well, I'm bored. You're bored.
Yep.
We both like to drink beer. So why don't we come to a bar, do what Bengals fans do best, and that's drink beer, and become, quarterbacks basically, or owners for the organization, and solve all the Bengals problems. So we decided to call it Sean and Joe Get Blitzed.
And that has never happened before.
Well, for you.
Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, I've given a lot of money to Uber over the years. I mean, I know that you're used to talking to the big-time names over there, the Willie Cunninghams of the world and things like that.
Yeah.
You're kind of slumming it here with a guy like me, but collectively,
I am slumming it with you.
I was more of a joke, but okay, fine. But collectively, as I do the math, you and I both have, as far as the knowledge of the game of football, well over 30 years of football knowledge.
Easily.
And it doesn't matter the level that either one of us played on.
I was going to say, should we give them the level of the knowledge?
Well, let's do this.
I mean,
one of us played professional football.
Yep.
And I'm sure they're probably having a hard time picking which guy played professional football.
Right.
The other one had a couple years of high school football.
Yeah. And what position did you play in high school again?
Well, I mean, there were many positions. I was a linebacker. I was a very skilled long snapper and short snapper, which takes immense concentration and focus.
Does it really? And did you have that?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
There may have been a couple, missed snaps here and there. And refresh my memory and the people's memory. You played for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
When?
1985 to 1997.
Before electricity. All right.
Yep. Thank you.
And then you played for how long in the NFL?
That would be 13 years.
13 years, according to my Harrison math there.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And you've had a very unique perspective over the course of playing for the organization and being able to watch the organization through the abysmal years that were the 90s,
right,
when we were known as the Bungles.
Yep.
And we had a couple flares of greatness here and there, even with, as recent as Andy Dalton getting us to the playoffs the first 5 years of his career, not winning a single game in the playoffs while he was there. But nonetheless, they were fun to watch.
Right.
So as we start this new podcast journey together, let's start with how the Cincinnati Bengals finished this past year. As you watched and saw what they did offensively, which was amazing, record-setting numbers.
Right.
And on the other end of the spectrum, record-setting numbers the wrong way when it came to our defense. So tell me what you thought of the season.
Well, you can't start out, 0-3, 0-4, and expect to finish up in the playoffs, right? We gave it a hell of a run. I know that. Joe Burrow came to life, and we just didn't have a defense. And it was very evident because when an offense can put 35-plus points on the board and you're still losing the game, that's a pretty sad situation. So that kind of is in the nutshell how the season went. Great offense, terrible defense.
Well, I will say this. Joe Burrow was the very definition of a professional, because of the press conferences, we all saw it from week one on. He just kept getting grilled like, hey, you guys have lost 2 games. Hey, you guys have lost now 3 games in a row. And, he kept saying, listen, the season's not over yet. There's still plenty of time. The problem is the Bengals over the past few years, that's exactly how they've started.
Right.
It's been different year, same result when it comes to the first few games of the season. I believe Joe Burrow was a quarterback over the first few seasons. He's either 1-9 or 2-9 when it comes to, the opening first few weeks. So, with that being said, there's obviously a lot of pressure for the Bengals to get out to a hot start this weekend up in Cleveland. Now, defensively, it's still looking like it's more of the same as far as...
I think it's too early to tell, right? I think you didn't have your starters playing. Especially the front 7. You had Logan Wilson playing, but he was coming off an injury, so he needed to get out there and play. But you didn't have B.J. Hill. You didn't have Stratton play. You had to see what you had with Osai and Murphy, so they had to get a lot of playing time, especially with Hendrickson not there. So you're playing with young guys, right? And a new defense, a very plain, basic defense Golden wasn't going to show his hand at all, right?
Not at all.
They didn't tackle very well, but you can fix that.
Your list is getting longer, by the way.
But I'm excited about this defense. I think they're going to be much, much better than we all expect them to be.
Well, let's face it. There is literally nowhere to go but up.
Right.
All right. You had obviously the offseason stuff with Trey Hendrickson going, who I think handled it the way he should. With the numbers that he put up last season, he definitely deserves, the opportunity to have an extension on his contract.
Right.
They came to a one-year deal, which I think is immensely beneficial to the locker room and to the defense, because if you've got a guy like that on the end with a motor like he's got, the sky's the limit as far as that goes.
Oh, absolutely.
We paid Jamar Chase. We paid T. Higgins. Since you've been with the organization and watched the organization, you know as well as I do, the Cincinnati Bengals are not known for their charity. The family that owns the Cincinnati Bengals,
not at all.
They're not known for paying people.
Not at all.
Joe Burrow comes into the mix, and all of a sudden, it's kind of Joe's way now. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. They know what they've got with Joe. He's a superstar, right? And look what he did. I mean, all you got to do is look at the merchandise. I was talking to a client. Excuse me. They went to the New York game last year. And he said there was probably 50% Bengal fans, and out of the 50% of the Bengal fans, 70% were wearing number 9 jerseys.
I mean,
the merchandise alone that they're making, the money they're making off of him,
follow the money.
You're going to do what you can to keep that man happy.
When he was at the Super Bowl last year and they were interviewing him, number one on his list of things they needed to do was sign Jamar, sign T, and sign Trey Hendrickson. And here's the thing now. Joe Burrow has absolutely everything that he's asked for.
Right.
His contracts, the contracts of other players that he thought were vital to the organization.
Right.
So let me play devil's advocate here. All right, it's you're within the AFC North. All right, these guys know each other very well. There's not a lot of things you're going to throw at them that they haven't seen before.
Right.
Bengals do have a different type of running game this year. We'll get to that here in a few. But let's just say the Bengals go out there and they win like 35-28. To me, I'm still worried about that because the defense gave up 28 points, and here we are again from last year. What happened is we had to score 45 points just to feel safe as far as that goes.
I don't think so. I think we're going to go through some growing pains with this defense, right, the first couple of weeks, because they've got to get used to the calls that Golden's going to be calling and all that, right? So I'm going to give them a couple of weeks for the growing pains.
Couple weeks?
But our offense is, you look at the weapons on this offense, Sean. You got Joe, you got Jamar, you got T, you got Chase Brown, who is going to be a monster this year.
Yes.
Then you got the tight ends, Gesicki and Hunter, Fant, Yoshevitz. The list goes on and on, the weapons that they have. So you're going to put a ton of pressure on defenses, the opposing defense, because they're not going to know who to stop. Who are you going to put 2 on, right? And then you're going to leave the other 3 or 4 open.
Here's my question with the offense, and it's been the question the past few years, is we have cheat code offensive players that are just through the roof, superstars, not just stars, superstars in the NFL. So what happens if our offensive line is not where it needs to be? That's another concern.
Well,
that's been a constant.
But I think they've got enough depth now, with Reisner, with Rivers, the rookie. He had a really good preseason.
Yes.
You've got Cody Ford. He's serviceable. I think we're okay there.
He's serviceable.
He is. He does a good job.
I'll give you that.
He's not a starter. He's a plug-and-play guy, right? He's a guy that can come in and give you a game or two, but he's not going to be your 17-game starter, right? But I think that, with Lucas Patrick starting at right guard, he's going to be on a short leash if he struggles, right? Because they're going to put Risner in there.
Yep.
And Risner's a great pass protector. Listen, I'm excited about this line. I really think your tackles are very solid, very good players. Your center's very good in Karras. You got a guy that's very smart. You got a rookie great preseason, smart kid, gets it, physical. He's going to have some rookie mistakes, but you got to live and die by them a little bit, right? I think Joe probably says, don't get beat inside. Give me an opportunity to get up in the pocket, right? I think the big microscope is going to be on the right guard. I honestly do, and I think they've got enough guys there to get that figured out in a hurry.
I mean, if they have, and we've said this for a long time, if they have an average offensive line, they are going to be even more so an unstoppable offense with all the weapons that they have right now. So we'll take that. Let me put defense on the side.
I think I'm going to go back.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that they're going to be better. This offensive line is better than the offensive line when they went to the Super Bowl.
Remains to be seen. I'm hoping you're right.
Going into the season, you compare both of them. Even today, I would say this line is better than the one that went to the Super Bowl.
I mean, you played offensive line in the NFL. I played long snapper as a sophomore in high school.
You didn't do anything.
So I see where the talent is and where it may not be. So you and I have the same vision, I think.
Yeah. Well,
right? When it comes to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're close.
Very. Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate that. Game recognizes game, as they say.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I'm with you.
So
what was that?
Let's move this to special teams. All right, so our special teams last year.
Because I like special teams.
You do?
No.
You need to?
I don't like kickers.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Money Mack, as he was that first year, and he had this amazing first-year run. Then comes the sophomore slump. Then it was like, maybe it was a little bit of an injury. Maybe there was something in his head. But there were opportunities that he had last year that really cost the game, for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Right.
Okay, this year, are we okay? You think we're okay at kicking?
Yeah. I don't worry about the kickers. They got one job to do. If they don't do it, I don't like them, right? So far, Money Mack hadn't let me down too much. I'm more concerned about the new deep snapper.
It's called
right because they changed from the guy from last
long
year.
Snapper,
long snapper,
long
whatever. They don't do anything.
We do a lot.
What do you do?
Listen,
play golf while we're out practicing.
As a long snapper, all right, you got to get it back to your punter in a timely manner. That is a well-oiled machine. It's boom, boom, step.
So
punt.
when you long snap,
yes, thank you.
Were you a two-handed long snapper or a one-handed?
Two-handed. You got to put the spin on that ball. Oh. You can't just. This isn't some.
Can you still long snap today?
Absolutely.
I don't believe it.
Well, they don't touch the long snapper anymore. They don't touch the long snapper anymore. I'll give you a happy short snapper story. Harrison High School, we're playing Taylor. One of the biggest kids in the city at the time was Dana Stubblefield.
What year was this?
It was a minute ago. 1988, I think it was, at Harrison. So we got a guy next to me who was kind of taunting Mr. Stubblefield about his mother. Yeah. Said some inappropriate things about his mother.
Okay.
He's over me. So
probably not a good thing to do to Stubblefield.
As soon as that play happened, his elbow went under my chin, and I kid you not, it was stars at least for about 30 seconds as I jogged towards the sideline and stuff like that. That's exactly what he's cracking up and everything. I'm like, don't do that again. All game long, he kept taunting the guy. But that's what I mean. As a long snapper and as a short snapper, you have you would think, an easy job, but such a critical job. Bad snaps. I mean, that's happened before with the Cincinnati Bengals.
How many bad snaps did you have?
Oh.
A lot?
Yeah.
Had a couple of bouncers go back to the punter, did you?
Oh, God, not even bouncers, over their heads. Luckily, our punter was our running back, so he usually got us out of that. But, I mean, enough about my accolades.
Your accolades.
I am concerned. It's like the girlfriend that you break up with for a summer and then you get back with her every year. Like, things are going to be different. Right. And the Bengals have that ability to reset fans as far as, okay, new season, here we go. Just like you're saying, you're excited about the season. I'm excited about the season. You've got your Browns, you've got your Jaguars. Then we start running into teams that actually are going to be a test for us. Because if we don't beat the Browns or the Jaguars, then I don't know how we compete against the other teams that are coming down the road.
We definitely have to go 2-0.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which brings me to the defense. So last year, the defense, I mean, at the bottom of most categories as far as points given up. I know opposing teams inside the 20 scored, whether it field goals, be touchdowns, 95% of the time they got there. So with the addition of Stewart, Miles Murphy, that's another guy, a couple names out there. Logan Wilson, I think, is a great guy. Knight, I think, who we drafted, I think could be a great linebacker for us. But tell me, when you see this defense, what makes you feel a little bit more optimistic? Because they are young. They are young.
They're young.
And a new defensive coordinator.
But here, it's the defensive coordinator. It's a whole different philosophy, right? I think Lou Anarumo was so complicated with his defense that it was hard for the young guys to understand and make sure they were in the right places, right?
Right.
Golden really simplified it, makes it easy on these guys. They've just got to get used to the way things are called, right? It's different when they're calling the defenses in practice than it is when you're in real life in the game and it's a game situation.
Right, live action's moving a lot faster.
So I think with the group, and another thing, when new coaches come in, sometimes players react and play differently with that new coach because they understand the scheme, they understand what he's trying to do, how he's teaching it. They get it, and they have that light bulb moment. They play much better, much faster. I think there was a lot of thinking going on, especially in the secondary with Lou's defense.
So if you're telling me, if I'm hearing you correctly,
probably not.
You're saying our offense is going to be fine. Not only that, but we're going to have a better offensive line than we've had in years. Yeah. Special teams, it is what it is. It's 50-50, we'll say at best. But you're thinking that our defense, again, if we have an average offensive line and we even have an average defense, if we're middle-of-the-pack defense with the kind of offense that we've put on the field this year, it's exciting as a Bengals fan to see, simply because we already know what the Bengals can do with their offense. We've seen the numbers put up, and we get excited about that.
Right.
But it was always all right, Joe just went down the field in 3 plays, and we're good to go. We're right back in the game. But the other team ate up the clock, controlled the ball, and put another score on the board.
Right.
A couple, an interception, which is unlikely with him more times than not, a fumble. But it seems to me that those games were way more closer than they ever needed to be with the kind of offensive power we have.
Absolutely. But, again, 2 different defensive coordinators. I think things are going to be different. At least I really hope so. I'm betting they are. But that's the great thing about our offense is we can score like that, and especially with the weapons we got. Again, it's all going to come down to staying healthy. This is the healthiest we've been, knock on wood.
Nobody on the injury list going into Sunday.
Nobody.
Everybody was healthy.
It's the cleanest we've been, right? And so that speaks volumes. Listen, I'm not concerned about Cleveland's offense. The only person on that offense that scares me is Flacco going off.
I know.
That's the only. But if
people laugh about that, but he's starting for a reason.
Yeah, right.
He's not a bad football player.
He's not a bad quarterback at all. He's serviceable. He's doing what he needs to do. But if he has that game where he goes off on us, then it's going to be a back and forth thing. I think that. With the weapons we have on offense, we've got a lot of pressure on Cleveland. They've got a good defense, but we've got a lot of pressure on them because they got to figure out who they're going to stop.
If we get into a shootout with Cleveland, I'll tell you right now, win or lose with that, we're still in big trouble for the rest of the season because the Cleveland Browns are, as you put it, a serviceable football team that can be on the field and that can compete and things like that.
Right.
Their defense, some phenomenal defensive players on there, but you know as well as I do, Cleveland, for some reason, every year looks good on paper, but can never get it together. With that being said, I feel like, in my mind, that the Bengals have a lot to prove this first game.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not about putting 45 on the board or anything like that. It's about playing 4 quarters because you've seen it, I've seen it. It's they don't show up for this half or they don't show up for that half. And now, Joe's having to come from behind to just make it competitive. So if we can put together 4 quarters of football, I don't care if we win 15-3. If I know that we're controlling the ball,
right.
if I know that our defense is making good stops and not giving up 3rd and 15s, then I'm a lot more confident going into the following week. Even though it's against the Jaguars, if we're scoring, 45 and we're giving the Browns 30,
right,
that's not a good sign.
No, but at the same time, we're going to have some growing pains the first couple of games with defense. But the big thing for me, they played in the preseason. We haven't done that before.
Love that.
They were hitting in the preseason and, in practice.
They weren't tackling, though.
They weren't tackling, but they had some physical practices, right? They haven't had that in the past. I think it was smart of them not to go against another team, have somebody else come in and have the combined practices. But just playing, Burrow played two or three series the first game, 2 or 3 series the second game.
Yeah.
Even stayed in with the 2s to get used to them, which spoke volumes to me, right?
I was a little worried when they did that, though, and I think everybody else was.
I thought it was the smartest thing he could have done because he needs to know what they can do if somebody goes down, right? They got to know what he can do. And, how quick the ball's going to come out. You better be ready because he and Jamar T have such great chemistry.
Yeah, that's plug and play.
The ball's in the air, and they don't even look at it until the very end, right? So I tell you, there's just something in my gut telling me that this is going to be a fun season.
Would you bet your house on it?
No, I wouldn't never bet the house.
All right, as a player, when preseason was going on, do you feel like guys, that had already made the team, you played for a few years, you're in preseason and stuff like that, and the ones are out there, do you feel like guys on opposing teams held up on each other a little bit more? Just be like, hey, man, I don't want you getting hurt in the season. Because the reason I ask is because when we played the Redskins and they went down the field in 3 plays without throwing a pass, and the way that the Bengals were tackling, I was scared to death because they were literally just trying to grab shoulder pads.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I mean, that's the kind of stuff they teach you in Pee Wee as far as like wrap them up.
Right.
And it seems like the secondary is suspect if
I would imagine that after that game, especially the one where Daniels ran into the end zone and was it Battle that led up and didn't hit him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That right there would be a complete butt chewing in the film.
It should have been, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it doesn't matter. You got to light him up, make him pay. It's football, right? And I was aggravated after that game with that defense. They weren't hitting, they weren't doing anything, and it was very frustrating. And I know where everybody's concern is. I have that. I'm just trying to be that optimistic guy, thinking, okay, they were playing defense, right?
But I think I'm just saying, you play like you practice. I don't think that's something that people say. I just think that if you're not, and when I say practice, I mean with the exhibition games and things like that. Like, obviously, during practice, you're not trying to light your own guys up. But when it comes to that and you get fresh meat on the field and guys, you can let them off the chain and the dogs can and just go, I feel like, to me, that says a lot about that player. Like, I don't want to get hit. I don't want to get hurt.
Some guys are like that. I won't lie to you, but
like we don't have in our secondary, we don't have a Fulcher.
No.
We don't have a guy that you're afraid to go across the middle for. Like, we don't have a leader. We don't have that hard-nosed guy that we had when you played.
No, that's one thing they don't have, right? Like I said, my concern is the secondary anyway, right? If they can hold up, and our safeties, right? We didn't do anything as far as free agency or anybody going after the safety position to fill that.
Well, if I'm an offensive coordinator, seeing what the Bengals have done with their defense over the past few years, watching how their secondary is, seeing how young their secondary is, if I'm the Browns, I'm going after them right away.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question in my mind that you could probably right now, like you said, there'll be growing pains. You could pick that secondary apart, and that's a little bit of a concern for me. Pressure on the quarterback, obviously, is a concern for me. But again, we have not seen, what our number 1 pick can do. Right. And if this kid can get after it, and let's face it, his stats weren't that impressive when they drafted him, because I think we all is like, wait a minute, he said 4 sacks.
Right.
But like, no. You don't see what else he can do. His athleticism, that's fine. At the end of the day, if he has 100 sacks, if he only has 1 sack, if he shows up in the NFL and he shows out, all that stuff is going to go away.
Oh, absolutely.
Which I'm hoping it does.
You just want him, even if he's not getting sacks, if he's putting pressure and moving the quarterback over to Trey or moving him up into the pocket, that's what you want, right? Obviously, you want sacks. But if he's making the quarterback move, because we didn't have that last year. If it wasn't for Trey,
right,
the quarterback would just sit there and pick us apart, right? Because there was nothing coming from the left side of the defensive line coming that way on the right side of the offense, right? And so you've got to get pressure on that side to make that quarterback move and get uncomfortable.
And there's going to be, I mean, I hate to say this, there's going to be pressure on Trey Hendrickson after the year that he had, and then the money that he was wanting. Now he's got it. He'll be a free agent next year.
Right.
But he's not only playing for the Cincinnati Bengals, he's obviously playing for
He's playing for the future.
What will be probably his final contract.
Correct.
I would imagine, which is why the Bengals weren't comfortable, signing him for a long term, which I got to say this. I can't blame them for not doing that. I
got to tell you, that, to be 31 years old, right? And to say that I'm, everything I'm trying to do is set my family up, right? I'm thinking, well, all the years you've played and all that money you've made, because you've made, he went 3 years with at 16 to 18 million per year. And, it just, I shake my head because I'm thinking your family should already be secure. I get the $30 million. I get that that's what you want. But, man, I struggle paying $30 million to a defensive end. I mean, I struggled with Watt and
but I'll say this. Watt's a guy that deserves it.
Though, but 31, man, that's a lot of money at 31.
That dude's a Hall of Famer, though, right away.
Yeah.
He is the very definition of a disruptor. To me, T.J. Watt right now, Garrett's a disruptor, but T.J. Watt is everywhere all the time. And the kind of money that he's making, I don't argue with. And listen, you and I have no love for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they run that organization like a very well-oiled machine. And if you can stay with one organization like the Steelers, who are a legendary organization, then obviously I think that's what you want to do. You don't want to jump around the league and be this journeyman as far as that goes.
Right.
And, Garrett, another guy who's just a phenomenal talent. Would I put Trey Hendrickson up with those two? Probably not. But he did what a good defensive end is supposed to do, which is, guess what? I led the league in sacks. I feel I deserve X amount of money. Because guess what?
Yeah, but he killed him in the run. Killed him again in the run.
But when I guarantee you, when the negotiations were happening, they were like, you're doing this really well.
Yeah.
You're doing half your job very well. The run, not so much.
Well, the other part of that would have been with Mike's. I can't do Mike's list, but there's only so much to the pie. We've only got so many pieces to the pie. I can't tell you how many times I heard that in my negotiations. Now, Joe, there's only so many pieces to the pie. And, I got to pay the defense. I got to pay coaches. I got to pay this. I got to pay that. So it only leaves a little sliver for you, and that's all you're going to get.
Well, all right, okay. Well, let's get into the economics of what the Cincinnati Bengals have done in years past. Including your run and Ken Anderson's run. You guys were not making anything compared to what the guys are making right now.
Absolutely not.
The fact that they went deep into their wallets for Joe didn't surprise me, because at the end of the day, let's just say Joe Burrow's the only guy showing up in the stadium. He is such a huge presence in the NFL that people are still going to show up for him.
Yep.
And then when Jamar Chase was getting to a point where he did the sit-in last year, you're thinking, I never had a doubt that they would pay him, because he is another guy that when you're talking about the NFL and they're running the promos and everything like that, those are the guys that are showing up in it.
Right.
What surprised me is him paying T. Higgins, because in my mind would have been trade the guy, get what we can for him. But again, I think that's the Joe Burrow effect.
Yeah.
I think he basically walked in and said, if you want me to sign my deal, you better take care of me on the other end of this.
Right.
And then Trey Hendrickson, which I'm pretty sure, like in my mind, I'm like, they're going to sign him, but I thought maybe it'll be after the Browns game where they're like, okay, we really need him in there. Because again, like we just said, he's a good defensive end, but he's not elite. I don't think you're going to see Trey Hendrickson in the Hall of Fame like you're probably going to see T.J. Watt.
But you gotta imagine the pressures on him is immense now because
huge.
He's got to show up and play, like you said earlier, for next year. It's not all about this season. It's about film for next year.
If he doesn't compete for the sack title, I mean, unfortunately, they'll look at it as a bust.
Yeah.
And I think it's smart money for the Bengals to say, all right, we'll give you all this money this year, and let's just, we'll worry about next year.
Well, fortunately, they had room on the cap to do that too, right? And so they're going to have even more room next year. I just don't know that I would pay him. I think
no, you can't
I think you've got to either get in the free agency market or
now that you've got guys like Patrick Mahomes who keeps restructuring his contract to make sure that he can pay everybody else. And I think Burrow, took that and was like, all right, let's do that with me, because at the end of the day, you're only as successful as the players are around you. I think Joe realizes that, and I think with Chase, with T, with Brown, like the time to win, the time to get to the next level is now.
Right.
He's had his his first few years here in the league. We know what he's worth. We know what he's capable of. You got to put the pieces around him now if you want to win, because if you're thinking Joe's going to be this, like a Brett Favre, if you will, who's going to stick around for God knows how many years. I don't think he will. I think he's going to put his time in, put his 10 to 12 years in, and I think he'll be done after that.
I think he'll play as long as they'll let him. He's that competitive. He's that dude, right? If he stays healthy, he's that guy that's going to play.
Well, he's like Peyton Manning, I think, where he's a guy who is just next level when it comes to reading defenses, and his ball placement is elite, is the best you can look for in the NFL. So with all this being said now about our Cincinnati Bengals going into this season, you watch TV, you listen to radio, a lot of people are saying like 9-8,
right?
Maybe 10-7, and that's not. And here's the thing. We're in the North with the Ravens, and the Ravens aren't going to put up a 9-8 record. They're not going to put up a 10-7 record. That team's probably going to win 12, 13, maybe 14 games.
If they stay healthy. That's the thing. We're all sitting here trying to figure it out, but it's all about how everybody stays healthy. I mean, you think about it. Lamar's been playing hurt the last couple of years, so he could go. If you lose Derrick Henry, that kills that offense.
Yes, true.
Kills it, right? So it's just like us. If we lose Burrow, we're done, right? We can't afford.
Why would you put that out there into the universe? Yeah, you were talking about it. I'm okay with that. Go ahead and mention Josh Allen. Go ahead and mention Lamar Jackson. But why? No. I'll delete that. I'm going to delete that.
You can delete that all you want.
I'm going to delete that.
I tell you what, though, we haven't talked about the cold beer here at the 859 Tap Room.
No, you've been running your mouth for 34 minutes straight. Nobody could get a word in edgewise. But
who's been running their mouth?
The 859 Tap Room out here has been phenomenal.
Jeff's been nice to let us come out and do this thing.
I don't know how much you had to pay him to let us sit here and do this.
He may not let us come back.
So we better get our money's worth now.
We got to be nice to him today.
Is everybody having a good time? Okay, good. Good. Perfect. See, look at that.
Can you hear us back there?
Yeah. Can we get a Who Dey?
Can we get a Who Dey?
All right, there we go.
All right, give me a Who Dey on 3. 1, 2, 3. Who Dey! All right, we got to wake up out there, folks.
Wow.
Got to wake up.
That might get us some tater tots.
What's that?
Basically, we're working for tater tots.
We are.
Which I'm okay with,
by the way. We like the tater tots, don't we?
Love them out here. So, as we're getting into this season, getting into the NFL, the Cincinnati Bengals, I think over the course of the past few years, people have been extremely high on them, like you've said, when you're going to other cities,
right? And
people are just all about Jamar Chase and all about Joe Burrow. But there are other teams in the NFL that are as good, that are getting better. If if I can make a controversial statement here.
You?
I know. Here
Controversial?
we go. I think the Chiefs are leveling off.
I agree with that.
I think the Chiefs, Travis Kelce, I'm sorry, and congrats for him, marrying a billionaire. Good for him. But I think that they're going to be a good football team, but it's the whole, Superman bleeds. We've seen what we need to do to beat the Chiefs. The Bengals obviously know the recipe. The rest of the NFL, I think, is catching up with that. And not only that, the AFC West right now, when you look at it, Denver is becoming a very, very good football team.
They're scary.
Yes. You've got the Raiders, who, for a hot second,
that's Jeff, by the way. I don't know if you've met Jeff.
I have met Jeff.
Jeff's the owner.
Jeff and I
He's
engineered.
the proprietor of 859.
Is he really? So when people come in here, they say,
You've been called the proprietor.
I know Jeff.
I've been called worse. The biggest Bengals fan ever.
Well, I appreciate it.
That's all he ever wears.
I appreciate it. He should. Does he have orange and black underwear, though?
Jeff, do you have orange and black underwear?
Here we go.
That's too much information.
Right. I was going to say those shorts look a little free on him, but the Buffalo Bills of it. Buffalo Bills have a pretty easy ride when you look at the AFC East, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've got the Jets who are struggling. Yeah. You've got how many? You got the Patriots who are. They're not looking good
scary.
either. Yeah, they're not looking. Who's the other team I'm forgetting in the AFC East?
Say that again. I can't.
The other team in the
AFC
in the AFC East. Who am I forgetting in the AFC East?
There it is. Dolphins.
Yes, that's it.
That's it.
And they're pretty good.
And you've only had one beer and you forgot.
Well, they're very big and very cold.
Oh, okay.
So I'll catch up to it. But when you look at that, the scary thing is that if the records are going to, transpire as everybody's saying, the Bengals will essentially be competing for a wild card spot. Problem is, a lot of other teams have gotten a lot better over the years, whereas before, the Bengals were always in the conversation for the playoffs. Now they're kind of in the middle of the pack with all these teams that we've just mentioned. So
I like that. Let's stay in the middle pack. Because we're going to surprise folks. I think we're going to surprise. Our defense is going to surprise some folks. Our offense isn't going to surprise anybody.
No, if that's a nightmare.
But I think our defense may.
Well, you got to look at it like this. At the end of the day, I feel like, and I never thought I would say this, I feel like the Bengals did a very good job in the draft. I think they addressed the offensive line. I think they addressed the defense. Obviously, the signing of, Chase and T and Trey, all check that box.
Right.
So, to me, if this season does not go the way that we would all like it to go, with the caliber of players that we have on this team, at that point, there's only one place to look, and that's Zach Taylor.
Right.
Do you still believe that he is the guy for the job?
Absolutely.
Tell me why.
He hasn't done anything for me to believe otherwise, right? Do I think that maybe he should give the play calling up at times?
Yes!
I think so. I believe that. But now you've got a quarterback that can probably call his own plays. Just because he's in the game, he feels what's going on the field, and he sees what's happening out there, right? When you're behind that line and you can see the defense from behind or in front of you, you feel what's going on. When you're on the sideline, you're looking at that side view, you're not really seeing where they're lining up on defense, where they're at. So, and Joe's such a smart guy, smart quarterback. I think he puts them in great positions and changes plays. So I don't have a problem with Zach. What I really like about Zach and what they're doing now, think about all the guys they're drafting, all the guys they're bringing in. They're all captains on their college teams, high quality, high character guys. And
we're far removed from those horrible locker room days the Bengals have had.
So I think if there's anything I applaud Zach for, it's that. And he's got control of that locker room. Those players respect him, and he respects them and shows that respect, but he doesn't come off on them, right? So I really think I like Zach. I like what he's doing. I like the I was glad he got rid of Lou Anarumo. I thought that was needed a long time ago.
It was time.
And I just picking Golden up, that's a steal. I don't think anybody realizes what a steal Al Golden really was.
Well, I think you definitely hit the nail on the head with, I think, the number one thing, the people that I talk to.
How many people do you talk to?
2 or 3. It's usually the same.
Are they knowledgeable people or just people?
Well, I mean high school football players as well. I mean, I will say this.
So you go back to your old cronies that you hang out with.
Couple of them played college ball. They're pretty good, pretty decent.
Where did they play?
At Bowling Green. Bowling Green's pretty good. They're
Do they have
D1.
a football team?
Yes, they're D. You know who's coaching them now? Eddie George.
Who?
Oh my God. Anyway.
Is he a Hall of Famer now?
Yes, he's a Hall of Famer.
Are you sure?
They probably put him in the day he retired. That guy's legendary. Question, is Eddie George a Hall of Famer? Ma'am, is Eddie George a Hall of Famer?
She's looking at you like, what the heck
Well,
is he
I just need to know. You know what? Somebody eventually is going to walk up here and say, yes,
he
is a Hall
is.
of Famer.
Yeah.
But I think that you're right where Zach Taylor comes from Sean McVay's coaching tree.
Yep.
And that's a guy who likes to call his own plays. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Zach fancies himself as a play caller, but you've seen it play out on the field where I'm like, you're really overthinking this situation. When it's 3rd and 2 and you're dropping back in shotgun, I don't care if you're running a quick out. I don't care if you're running a slant. If you don't have a guy.
You know what, though? That I'm going to take up for Zach. That's Joe. Joe does not like to be under center. Joe wants to be in shotgun.
Why, though? Why?
Because he can see the field and he can change things. But if he's under center.
But it's not all about him. If you've got a guy, what did we used to do? What we used to do was we would line up a defensive lineman back there.
I understand what you're saying. I'm not arguing with you. I am just telling you it's not Zach Taylor not taking him up under center. It's Joe not wanting to go that way. Now, I'm sure that's going to change this year with the emergence of Chase Brown. Chase Brown is a monster, and you've got to go under center because that puts pressure on the defense because now they don't know if it's a run or pass. If you're back in shotgun, you can say it's either a draw or it's a pass. When you're under, you have no idea what you got coming at you.
I don't know any NFL running backs that I hang out with, and all of them that I hang out with, Najee, it's not name dropping, in Miami during the summer.
Oh.
No running back.
Was he a nice guy?
Super nice.
Yeah.
Great cook. No running back.
Cook.
No
what did
running.
He cook?
It was a Szechuan cheese. It was French. No running back likes to start from a stand-up position next to the quarterback, and the ball's hiked, and they're just like, "Here you go."
Right.
Everybody wants that 2-3 step running start, hitting the hole.
The thing about that too is you got to understand when you're under center, the linebackers don't know what you're going to do, right? So they have to freeze. Whereas when you're in shotgun, they don't have to freeze because it's either just they can see it all. But when you're under center, he's got to go back. They're watching him, watching the back. They have to set right there. And so that helps the offensive line get up on that level to him. Where before, if they're a shotgun, they can avoid because they see it happening like that. When he's going back, they don't know if it's a handoff or he's pulling it back, so it freezes them.
Which brings me to my next point is there's the play calling and things like that I question because there's not a lot of play action. The Bengals offense, when you see it and you plan against it, I think 90% of the time you can basically say Joe Burrow is going to be in shotgun. I mean, maybe I saw him go under center in preseason. Again, it's preseason. They're not showing a lot. A few times. But that translates to the season usually where Joe does not go under center a lot. And if he is, it's 3rd and 1, maybe 3rd and inches, and you already know what the play is at that point. I always felt like the Bengals did not do – and this all comes down to the line and not having a running game, and we had to go with our strength, which is passing with Joe.
Right.
But not enough play action to, like you said, make those linebackers stop. And, Joe wasn't comfortable doing, a 3-step drop or whatever the case may be, but at the end of the day, with a guy like Joe Burrow, the first thing you're thinking when that guy goes under center is obviously probably passing. You don't want to get burned on that, which is why if you can set up Chase Brown, if you can set up our running game to be 50% better.
Right.
This offense, ball control just got better because, like we said, Joe can score in 3 plays, 2 plays, 1 play.
Right.
But if we can do those grinds, if we can do those 10-play grinds, that makes all the difference in the world.
And I think we'll see that. And here's why. Because you've got Chase Brown. He can block. He can pass block when he needs to, right? He's
something we haven't had in a while.
We didn't have that with Mixon.
Right.
All we had was Mixon was to run, right? He couldn't pass block. So now you got Chase Brown that can pass block. You got Zamar J.P. Ryan that can pass block.
I'm so glad he's back. So glad.
You got Taj Brooks from Texas Tech, baby. Guns up.
Never heard of him.
He can pass block. Plus, he's a hell of a running back, right? So I think that I keep going back. We got so many weapons. People don't understand. Defenses are scared to death of this offense because you put Chase Brown can catch the ball out of the backfield. So there's so much pressure. It doesn't matter where Joe lines up, if it's shotgun or under center, because there's just too much talent on this team.
I mean, I get the fact that we don't have to have 100 yards a game to be an effective offense as far as what we have in our passing offense. But I think there's something to be said about balance. I think there's also something to be said that the fact that Joe Burrow put up that many yards came from a place of necessity. It wasn't a place of like, man, we've got so much going on in our offense. I think it was like, listen, our bread and butter is our pass. That's what we got to stick with.
Yeah.
That's what's going to keep us in games. That's what's going to win games for us.
Right.
Whereas having that balanced attack, and I mean, you look at a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, who got a steal with Saquon Barkley.
Oh, yeah.
And what they can do. And you know what? That's not a team that lights it up in the pass, but they do a good job of balancing it out. And if the Bengals, and this is where I will agree with you, if the Bengals can find that balanced offense, then yes, I think they're going to prove a lot of people wrong. I think that's when you're talking 10, 12 wins right there, because I think our problem is that we've got Joe Burrow. That's great. But like you said, we've got Chase Brown. We have got tight ends to spare that we don't utilize. They're in there to block, and that's great.
No, there's only one guy in there to block, and that's Drew Sample.
Well, there's one guy there.
The rest of them are there to catch the ball.
But that's what I'm saying.
Gesicki's basically another receiver.
I would like, and last year he proved that.
Yeah.
So I think that we got a glimpse of what we could have this year.
Right.
So if they can get off to 2-0, and as I look down at the schedule, I'm looking at games like the Lions, who we have here at home, which I think is good.
That'll be a good game.
We got games, with the Vikings. I think, looking at the schedule, I think we can go 5-0. If everything you say is true, if this fantasy world you live in, that I would love to live in, I would love to believe in all this, then
everybody wants to live in my fantasy world.
I don't think they'd like the clothes you would wear in that fantasy world, though. I think they would be very disappointed. But I think as a Bengals fan, and again, the beautiful thing about the NFL is they give you a week to recover, and they give you a week to just be like, all right, let me digest this, as opposed to baseball, basketball, where it's like every other night. So
I truly believe, just looking at the schedule now, I think we can go 3-0 going into Denver.
And I don't see any reason why we shouldn't go 3-0 as far as that goes.
And we play really good in primetime anymore.
We do. And
Denver's a tough place to play.
Joe Burrow in his press conference the other day said something that really stood out to me. And that was, he feels that the Bengals have not fallen off as far as competitively, but have fallen off as far as when people are talking about them, like, Super Bowl, AFC champs. Because right now you ask anybody who the AFC champs are going to be, it's the Ravens. Across the board, it's the Ravens. Nobody's counting on the Steelers, nobody's counting on the Browns, and nobody's looking at the Bengals to be an AFC champion. Right. So, again, why I said, all right, so if we're looking at the wild card, we're looking at a lot more teams now, I think, that are better than not as far as getting into the playoffs.
I look at the schedule, and yes, it's a tough schedule. I'll give you that. But I really think if we can stay healthy, we can easily go 3-0 into that game. Probably come out of Denver 4-0. And then you're looking at the Lions, which is going to be a game.
Huge game. Huge game.
Then we're at the Packers. I'm not as concerned about the Packers.
They're good, but
they're okay.
At Lambeau, it's a good team. There's a lot of measuring stick games that are going to be coming up.
The worst part of this schedule is after the bye week.
Oh, it's a gauntlet.
After the bye week is the brutal. So you have to win that first part of the schedule up to the bye week.
Well, we faced the Ravens twice. We faced the Ravens twice in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
During the end there.
Yeah.
And it's not like we don't have the Ravens number. We should have beat them both times last year.
I think the Ravens game is a great game to watch. And, we lost
on Thanksgiving night, by the way.
On Thanksgiving night.
That's going to be huge.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff, you going to be open Thanksgiving night?
We might because of that. We'll see.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Like have the meal and then come in late.
And then if he lets us continue to do the podcast here, we could do the podcast before the game.
Oh, no, he's moving us to the parking lot after this.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way he's keeping us inside.
We're done now, huh?
We were hoping to go to that game. My family there, but...
You're not going? That's all right. Jeff, you're welcome here. At your place.
At your place.
Provided you open up. Well, and seeing that this is the very first podcast that we've done.
Yeah.
And I've got...
We need a lot of work, I can tell you that.
What do you mean?
You got to figure this stuff out.
I feel like that I showed up with my C-plus game, which is pretty typical of me if you know me. So I showed up. I gave my... And you know what? You and I haven't lost a beat. You look older, but... I feel like you and I...
And I feel older.
Oh, gosh. But you know what, though? You lost weight. You look great.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Let me do the whole, when people haven't seen each other for a while, man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What's your skin regimen?
Yeah. Well, I quit drinking beer for a while. And
15 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I go run a couple of miles every day.
You do not run a couple miles.
Yeah.
There's no way you're running a couple miles. You might... think about it.
I do think about it quite
obviously,
a bit.
yes.
Yeah.
But then you come to a place.
I go to the door and I go, no.
That's a good-looking glass of bourbon there.
Yeah, that bourbon sounds pretty good.
Burns as many calories, I'm sure.
Absolutely, because I got to drink it, right?
So what I would like to do, moving forward with our podcast and stuff like that, and something that we never really had an opportunity to do in years past was, have something that we can just call the 2-minute warning, the 2-minute drill, if you will, where I want to open it up to the people out there.
Right.
And whether they're paying attention out there or not, which regardless this week.
We'll get them to pay attention.
But we'll get them to actually, ask some questions, because I'm sure that as far as, you and I having 30-plus years as high-level athletes, as we have had. Back to Sunday here. Bengals kick off 1 o'clock in Cleveland.
Yep.
It's still going to be a game, I think, that has a lot of implications for the Bengals mentally, as far as how people are going to see them. If I'm a Cleveland Brown fan, and seeing how Joe has struggled with the history of the Cleveland Browns. So
that's because they never played in the preseason, because they always play the first or second game.
That's why I like that there's no getting up to speed.
Right.
There's no hitting the field for the first time.
Right.
Joe knows exactly what he's in for the moment that he hits the field.
Yep.
I think the Bengals overperform. I think they
overperform.
I think they impress the NFL. I think they can put 35 on the Browns.
Easily. Because
let's face it, I don't care what you say. A guy like Joe Burrow knows that he only put up 16 points first game of the year last year.
Yeah.
That was embarrassing.
Yep.
I think he understands that, and I don't think he's going to stop.
Nope.
I think he wants to make this a statement game.
He's very hungry.
Yeah. I think the Browns, on the other hand, that's a team that does not have an identity. They've got a journeyman in there with Joe Flacco.
Right.
Nice guy, serviceable, as you say.
Yeah.
I was very happy that Shedeur Sanders did not get the starting spot, because if he did, I think given the young secondary, the defense, I think they would struggle against a guy that they have never seen in the NFL.
Because he can run.
Yes. So with Joe Flacco, All you got to do
Joe
is
Flacco sitting in the pocket.
He's not going anywhere.
Nope.
If you nudge him out of the pocket, he's doomed.
Yep.
And he's a guy that is not fast, that is not quick, that you can get to. I think the Bengals can win this game 35-17. And by 17, I mean there's some cheap touchdowns here and there that are going to be given
Yeah,
up.
I have them going 38-24.
24?
Yeah, I was going to go 24.
I'm not comfortable with that, but I feel confident though again that the Bengals, with the offense they've got, with the change of defensive coordinator, and everybody's signed, everybody's happy,
right.
Everybody's healthy, and they have played through the preseason. Trey hasn't played in the preseason, but I think that's a guy. It's a kill a man with the ball mentality.
Oh, yeah.
When you're on defense, you get that. I called it the bloodlust,
right.
Where you're just like, as soon as that ball's high, you know what your job is. You don't have to think. You just do. So,
right.
Bengals, Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff. Joe, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful 2 or 3 episode run.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yes.
Now, where can we find this podcast?
I've got to do things. I've got to edit. I'm very busy. I'm very popular.
I understand that, but where's it going to be landed at?
Well, I think we'll land it on collectively our Facebook pages.
Okay.
I'm sure Apple will want a lot of this.
Yeah.
Spotify. I'm sure they'll probably be calling to make a lot of offers.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think it's going to go to the highest bidder. And by that, I mean wherever we can put it up for free, that's where we're going to end up putting it. So, again, thank you so much for everybody for coming out here to
Thanks to Jeff at 859
Jeff,
Tap Room.
Well done. Thank you very much. All right, we'll see you next week.
All right, bud.
Bye-bye.
Bye.